Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today we are talking about the New Orleans Saints. Why are we talking about the Saints? Well, we're kind of in the time of the year where teams, front office people, head coaches are basically doing exit interviews with the media, kind of summarizing the season if your season's over. And Mickey Loomis, who is the general manager of the New Orleans Saints, had a very dumbfounding comparison that he made with his head coach, Dennis Allen, and basically kind of like backing up his head coach. We'll go ahead here and show you this minute and a half clip of what Mickey Loomis said, because I think you guys are going to be pretty shocked at what he compares Dennis Allen to, or who I should say he compares Dennis Allen to. So we'll go ahead and watch this little clip here, and then we'll talk about it.
You know, the easy thing to do, the lazy thing to do is look at the results of a season and say, it's a coach's fault or it's the quarterback's fault. I think oftentimes you have to look beyond that. I was prepared for this question, right? Chuck Knoll, his first 3 years, Hall of Fame coach, he was 1-13, 5-9, 6-8. But they recognize that this guy's a good football coach, right? Bill Belichick, here's his first 3 seasons, 6-10, 7-9, 7-9. Tom Landry, 0-11, 4-9, 5-8, 4-10, 5-8. Hall of Fame coaches, all of them. Bill Walsh, first year, 2-14, second year, 6-10. So I think the easy thing to do is just look at the results and say, oh no, we've got to have a change. You got to look beyond that. You know, what are the reasons why we were 9-8 instead of, 13-4? And look, it's collective. It's the players, it's the coaches, it's me, it's our personnel staff, our roster, it's variables sometimes that we don't have any control of. And so my assessment is Dennis Allen is a good coach. And again, with Sean Payton, we went 10-6 the first year, but then we were 7-9, 8-8. I heard some of the same noise, but at the time I knew we had a good football coach. And so I think sometimes the hard thing to do is to be patient and recognize your other shortcomings and get those fixed. And that's what we're doing.
All right, so there you have it there, guys. Mickey Loomis comparing Dennis Allen's first 2 seasons to Sean Payton, Bill Belichick, Chuck Knoll, Tom Landry. Did he say Bill Walsh in there too? He might have said Bill Walsh. I understand the point that Mickey is trying to make here, but Mickey, no. Mickey, no. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing, Mickey? You're comparing Dennis Allen to the greatest head football coaches of all time. Like, again, I understand what he's doing. He's backing up his coach. He's defending his coach. But doing this, you have to kind of, see the forest through the trees a little bit, where it's like people are going to rip you for this. Because if you look up Dennis Allen's record, guys, Dennis Allen, he was a head coach before he was on the Saints. So this is kind of Dennis Allen's path. He was the head coach of the Raiders. Then after he was the head coach of the Raiders, got fired midway through his 3rd season. I'll get to that stuff here in a second. And then he was a longtime DC for the New Orleans Saints. When Sean Payton ends up stepping down, Dennis Allen comes in. And then the last 2 seasons, they've gone 7-10, and they were 9-8 this year. So that's kind of Dennis Allen's trajectory. If you go to his 3 seasons as the Raiders head coach, I believe it was 12, 13, 14. He got fired in 14. Might have been 11, 12, 13. I'm sorry, I can't. I can't remember the years. I just looked them up. But these were his years at the Raiders, guys. He went 4-12, 4-12, and then to start off his 3rd season, he lost the first 4 games. So he went, what is that? 8-28 in 3 seasons as the Raiders head coach. That is a 22% winning percentage. That is, if you count that stuff, even with the time that he has had in New Orleans, where he's like, what is it, 16 and 18, I think it is. I think that's his record. He's still like at 37% winning percentage all time in 5.25 or I guess 4.25 seasons of being an NFL head coach. He's had his chances here, guys. He's had multiple chances here. Now, I will say this. I don't think it's pretty easy to, this is where I will agree with Mickey Loomis here, though, where he's right. It is very easy to just point at the head coach's record and say, fire this guy. It's very, very easy to do that. Um, and I don't if I were Mickey Loomis, I don't think I would have fired Dennis Allen. Because if you kind of looked at the New Orleans Saints this year, a lot of talent on the team, but Derek Carr was basically he was the Saints. If you had Saints guys on your team at times, it would be very, very frustrating having them on your fantasy team because it seemed like Derek Carr a lot of times would get scared to get hit and he'd check down a lot. Now they did kind of fire a lot of their offensive staff. I know they fired their offensive coordinator. They're going to fix that stuff up. But if you kind of look at the Saints here over the years, they're kind of a tale of like if you look at them over the years, they're a tale of a team that most of the time it's basically a one-sided football team where a lot of those first years with Sean Payton, they had like one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL. And they did, that's why Drew Brees was like, is he still second, I believe, all time in all of the passing yards because Brady obviously passed him over time. But and that's because like they had this super like high, volume offense that, would put up all of these crazy numbers and stuff. And New Orleans was always ranking at the top or, near the top of the league in their offensive stats. Conversely, though, their defense was one of the worst. I think they like at least one of their teams had like one of the historically worst defenses in the NFL for a while. When they actually hired Dennis Allen, their defense did get better, and that's why if you look at kind of the mid to late 2010s, they actually started competing again for Super Bowls. And then Drew Brees ended up being washed for like a year or two there, and then these last few years since Brees retired, they've had a difficult time trying to replace that quarterback position because they still do have a lot of talent on this team, but I think if they hire a stud offensive coordinator that kind of can really pick things up, or Derek Carr starts playing well, or they I don't know if they would draft somebody, but kind of like the one shocking thing about this Mickey Loomis statement here is I don't think anyone was really thinking about the Saints offseason. Maybe there's a little bit of local pressure to get rid of Dennis Allen, but I don't think nationally I don't think people were really talking about it and thinking about it. I don't think it would have been like a really like, whoa, they fired like kind of how Mike Vrabel, like what was it, almost 2 weeks ago now, when Vrabel got fired, it was kind of like a whoa. If they fired Dennis Allen, would have been like that, but it would have been like, all right, they are giving up on him a little bit too fast. But I do think there's one thing about this quote here too. I think that really kind of made people start thinking like, huh, what Mickey Loomis said, there is a lot of factors to being a successful franchise. And the Saints over the years, there have been times where, yes, they've been very good, but there's also been years where they've been disappointing or one side of the ball is lacking or there's like glaring weaknesses on the team. And who is probably responsible for that if you had to point a finger at it? The guy that's putting together the roster, which would be Mickey Loomis. So if anything, I think this kind of in a way kind of had people maybe monitoring is his job necessarily 100% safe? Should we start talking about Mickey Loomis maybe having some, the Saints maybe moving on after him for a while because he has been there for a very long time. So there you have it, guys. There, very, very shocking. Mickey Loomis compares Dennis Allen to Bill Belichick and all the other great head coaches, which is just a baffling comparison because, hey, man, I'm not saying Dennis Allen's a bad head coach, but the record speaks for itself. And if you're just talking about comparing him to the greats, like you're basically, hey, it's kind of like when a rookie has a bad season and everyone's like, well, Peyton Manning had a bad rookie season. It's like, oh, okay. So are you saying that like this guy's that you're comparing him to Peyton Manning, who became like the fourth or third best quarterback of all time, wherever you want to rank him, undoubtedly top 5 all time? Like that's, guys, sometimes we have to chill with some of these comparisons. Sometimes we have to chill with this stuff. So let me know what you think in the comments about this comparison. Dennis Allen's job security. Should they have fired him? Should they have kept him? What do you think about Mickey Loomis, this whole Saints situation? So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. As I said at the top, my name is James Williams. If you like content like this, I talk NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, bunch of different sports talk. It's kind of reacting to different kind of clips, stories, stuff like this. So if you kind of like that content, we've been doing this stuff now for over 4 years. We're just now starting to put our clips on YouTube. So we're trying to get a little bit of traction here. So we'd help out so much if you like this video. Hit that like button. If you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to help support the show and help promote it. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.